Happy President's Day. For many Americans, President's Day is a holiday and a time of many retail sales and having a 3-day vacation. But, you know, President's Day is also a time to think about the awesome power of the U.S. president over immigration. President Trump exercises immigration powers in a very bad way.
Right.
And President Biden is moving in a different direction. And although there were no immigration laws at the time, we're celebrating George Washington's birthday, Abraham Lincoln's birthday. First U.S. President George Washington reportedly spoke very fondly of the new nation providing asylum for people in the world in a 1788 letter to Francis Adrian Vanderkamp, a persecuted Dutch preacher. President Washington invited him to immigrate with his flock to the United States. He quoting President Washington, "I'd always hoped that this land might become a safe and agreeable asylum to the virtuous and persecuted part of mankind, to whatever nation they may belong." And of course, President Abraham Lincoln was very open to immigration, consistently opposing the Know Nothing Party. Do you know there was a Know Nothing Party?
No.
Yes, there was a party it was called the Know Nothing Party in the United States in the mid-1800s.
Okay.
Similar to the Republican Party now, except the Republicans call themselves Republicans, not the Know Nothings.
Right.
But I would say the Republicans are also Know Nothings. They were a very nativist party. They were more of a white supremacist party. They were against immigrants. They were in favor of slavery. And President Abraham Lincoln obviously opposed the Know Nothing Party and enthusiastically enlisted hundreds of thousands of immigrants into the Union Army to fight the Civil War. The American Know Nothing Party was actually an anti-immigrant party. And Abraham Lincoln, in a writing in 1855, he wrote, "I am not a know-nothing. As a nation, we begin by declaring that all men are created equal. We now practically read it, all men are created equal except Negroes. When the know-nothings get control, it will read, all men are created equal except Negroes and foreigners and Catholics." And so basically it's a slippery slope, by the way.
Right.
And when it comes to this, I should prefer immigrating to some country where they make no pretense of loving liberty, like Russia, for instance, where despotism can be taken pure and without any hypocrisy. So Abraham Lincoln saying, you know what, I'd rather live in Russia, where at least they don't make any pretense of discriminating against people,
right,
versus here where we say, you know, life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness for all, except if you're a Negro,
or
a foreigner,
or a Catholic.
Right. You probably put Jewish in there too,
Right,
but
yeah,
he didn't write it, but probably that too. And remember that the civil rights movement also helped to drive the historic opening of immigration laws, causing then President Lyndon B. Johnson to lift the bars of discrimination against immigrants and signing into the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1965. Prior to 1965, the quotas were based on national origin. And it was based on national origin dating back to the census of the 1920s. So who was in the United States in the 1920s? It was mostly Europeans.
Okay.
So that's why it was all skewed to actually even Northern Europeans. So not even Southern Europeans. It was actually discriminatory against Italians and Portuguese and Greeks, but it was all to benefit Northern Europeans. Certainly they were discriminating against, you know, minorities and everybody else, but they were even discriminating against other Europeans as well.
Yeah.
You know, but then in 1965, all of that came to an end when Lyndon B. Johnson lifted the bars to discrimination and signed into the law the Immigration Nationality Act of 1965. Thanks for watching. For more Bradshaw Live, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.